Greetings and a warm welcome. Hey, thank you for joining me. Thank you for joining the channel. Thank you to all new subscribers. This is the global predictions for October using the Psi deck, which is this deck here, and then some cards from the traditional tarot, which is this one. So this is for October 2019. We are running full head into a very busy month. I think we can see that politically across the globe to begin with. Lots of political movement within many different countries, things happening and going on. This is how it is. This is the new paradigm. This is the new world. So welcome to it, everyone. Welcome. I will shuffle from this deck first. Traditionally, I would only like two to come out from this deck, but we will see what happens. I think that was my error, but I will take the Nine of Pentacles. And I guess he technically came out upside down, so perhaps we'll swing it around and start with him. This is for October 2019. What energies are in the air? What global predictions is collective conscious tapping into? Lots of yellow coming out through there. King of Pentacles, that's about finances. These bunch dropped off as well, so perhaps we will have a look at them all upside down in this sphere over here. Two really good cards, the Magician and the Star. So there's something in here, and this is Victory. These are three really good cards. So there's something in the background that bodes, like with positivity, but they're all reversed. So I'm going to have to look into that and see with a little bit more depth what that could mean. In the interim, let's deal the Psi cards and see what comes out for the Psi deck, because this is the one I have traditionally used for the collective conscious. The Work card, the Sun. I'm not sure if you could see my hands then or not. They may have been out of view of the camera. This is the Psi card for October. Psi reading. These are the Psi cards. What would you like to show us in terms of collective conscious energies? I would normally pull 6 from this deck. I won't take that because I think that's too many. This was the first one out after these two. Prison. That's interesting. When I was getting the deck out before, and Enzo came in and disturbed me, he put his paws on the Prison card and actually sat on it. The Message, the Skills, here's the 6th one, Peace, and the bottom of the deck is the Voyage. So quite a messy looking endeavour we've got going on here, and I think that did happen a month or two ago, back in perhaps September or the month before. So in real terms, you know, so many of these cards in the reading have jumped upside down, and just shifting all the crystal energy around. They kind of all have a very similar meaning in terms of their reversal, especially these ones over here from the tarot, because these are all positive cards. In fact, every single one of them that turned up for the reading, if they were up the right way, they're all positive cards, but they're reversed. So that would tell you instantly that there's something about a need for balance. Now, what is the month of October primarily? Astrologically, it's the sign of Libra. Libra is about balance. It's the scales. It's balancing situations. So I think more than anything, the month calls for this deep need to balance events that are taking place, to balance emotions for the humans, to balance situations, and bringing balance could help to solve certain events that are taking place. Most of these events, I would have to say, would be human related events as opposed to, say, galactic or climate or, you know, weather or space related. So with the fact that You know, we have the Star, we have the Magician, we have the Victory card, we have success in finances but juggling over here, we have success with Pentacles up here, and this card normally when it's upright is about finding success through hard work over a period of time. So reverse all these 5 over here, and it's just telling you that pretty much all of the energies that were there are just doubt. So there's some sort of doubt cast over something that could have been victorious or could have been successful or could have had a magical thread to it or a magical beginning or direction. This one here in particular, the Victory card reversed, and this one, the wands in the background tend to refer to other people in a situation, creating a conundrum or creating a negativity or putting fear into something. Now what jumps to mind foremost, I guess, is the impeachment of President Trump at the moment in America, because this is a really fast rolling ball and it's turned everything asunder as such. So that's kind of makes sense with all these cards floating upside down, and even these 2 over here floating upside down, that things have been turned asunder. That's from the political perspective in America, I imagine. But because these are really positive cards, it kind of bodes fairly well, I think, for Trump, in as much that he could get through this impeachment one way or another. Like, it might be picked up that he's done all these things wrong, but I don't know that he's technically going to lose his job from it or be taken away from President of the United States. There might be some ramifications or some penalties incurred, but everything else in this reading, if we're talking about it from being a Trump perspective, seems to be going okay. That inevitably in time it's going to come out with some sort of positive for probably him, and I guess then for the people who back him and support him in America, being as much that America's a divided nation because of the politics in the country. But this King of Pentacles sitting upright up here, it talks about, although the card partnering it right underneath is the card of juggling finances, it's quite ironic, really. It definitely talks about the 2 of Pentacles as saying things are overloaded at work and that it's too much at work at the moment. So they're tying in here with this. So whether or not, if we align some of these cards to the Trump saga or issues, the overload at work and things being too much at work for him, which they clearly are at the moment, could make the money markets jump up and down a little bit, creating this juggling effect, or coming and going, or up and down. But overall, there's this positivity behind it anyhow. So I don't think the markets are going to suffer too much in this month of October. They actually feel some sort of stability. Yes, there's fluctuations, dips that go up and down, but it doesn't go down any great degree. Those are the messages that were jumping out for those cards for me primarily. So they could, of course, be referring to the incidences in Hong Kong as well, but I'm not entirely sure that they are. I think it felt more American, those messages. Anyhow, let's move to the side card, side of life, with these 6 and the voyage over here. Don't really get many reversals in the side cards. I'm not sure how to interpret them. I'm not sure whether they need interpreting upside down or not, but if they do, we'll come to that as we work through them. The first one, the work card, if you've been following this series that I've done for the last few years, you'll know that when that card comes out, I talk about time anomalies. Now, there have been a few strange time anomalies around lately. It's hard to understand unless you've followed things like Terence McKenna's Time Wave Zero prophecies, different timelines, alternative dimensions or paradigms. There's that type of situation that can be occurring, like feelings of flux around us. You may personally experience something like deja vu, or thinking that you have seen this before, or that you've heard something before, or something changes for you, a little bit like the Mandela effect, if any of you understand that as well. The other thing with the work card is that looks like a big engine. So this can relate to engine troubles, so especially with big things like ships, planes, trucks, buses, boats. Yes, planes, trains, boats, that type of thing. So there can be accidents in this industry. There can be engines that shut down or fail for one reason or another. Those are probably the biggest messages that I get from the work card. If we come to the next one, it's the sun card. Children can be affected in the month of October. They can be brought to the limelight for some reason. There can be sometimes a really bad incident that involves children, the kidnapping of children, the death of groups of children, coming to understand about how children have been persecuted one way or another. This could be tied into the Epstein pedophilia ring, among other things. It could be tied into the church and the harm that a lot of the Catholic priests have done, might be tied into that. We also see crops here. There can be information pertaining to crops, loss of crops, crop damage, whether by climate issues or potential insect issues or GEO, engineering issues, something to do with poisons around crops, or something to do with companies that do that sort of thing, like Monsanto, could be in the news. There could be new findings about that. There's also clearly the sun in the background. So the sun is actually coming in 1, 2, 3 times, because that's the sun coming in through here. It's also the sun's rays shining down on this mandala. So the Mandela effect is prevalent in 2 instances in this card. If you haven't heard about it before, Google it, have a look on YouTube at some Mandela effect videos. You might be quite intrigued as to that whole scenario. The other ways the sun can play a role are through, obviously, heat. There could still be intense heat around the planet for some people, breaking records, things along those lines. The sun also affects us electromagnetically. So when the sun has a big outburst of types, whether it be a CME or which is a coronal mass ejection, or whether there are some unusual sunspot activities, or whether there is something that traverses past the sun, or whether we have sun-diving comets, they can all be inferred with cards that are picturing or denoting the sun as well. Not that one. Moving to the next one. Oh, and the sun can also have impact and create large storms on Earth as well. And if you aren't sure how that works, follow a channel called Suspicious Observers. They're really good at detailing space weather and space anomalies and how it affects us here on Earth. The prison card, we've got more of the sun, which we've just talked about. He is locked down, he can't get out. There could be someone who goes to prison, and it might be someone well known. Could be a political figure. It could be that we are in a place of entrapment one way or another. This could be from a political perspective. The citizens are trapped, or we're trapped into something. So there's just a feeling of not being able to escape, not being able to get out, so locked into something as well. With this card, sometimes there can be issues in prisons around the world. We've seen that happen before when it comes out. So that's something to just watch over the month of October. Sometimes this can have to do with physical health. So there could be some health issues in October with children. Children might globally suffer implications around health. We do have a measles outbreak globally. This could be exacerbated, as well as other health issues. So this could be physical health here, meaning we're trapped and stuck, and that physical health takes a turn for the negative. The message card would traditionally represent things to do with the ocean, because that appears to be on a boat, and there's fish in a net, and there's a message in a bottle. So it's really messy. The card has come out before when there are underground earthquakes, and sometimes these earthquakes propagate tsunamis. So given that there are two cards in the reading with boats and water, and another reference to boats up here, surely boats, ships, engines have got something going on in the month of October. But the fact that it's reversed is, I don't know. We'll have to work that through. I'll need your help and assistance in deciding whether the card reversed has got a significant meaning. So for those of you who like to, join in and leave the comments, if you can give me your thoughts on whether you think these two cards are significant in the fact that they're reversed, and then what their meanings could be. So if this is typically to do with the ocean or the seas, animal die-offs, underground activities such as underground volcanoes in the sea going off as well, then what is it telling us? Is it telling us that there is no activity and that it's a month of less activity, or is it telling us it's bigger than normal? We'll come to the skills as well. Traditionally, the skills would be telling us it's a military card of fighting, because they're weapons, archery. So it often talks about a more agitated action, as in fighting and military type fighting, hand-to-hand combat between countries with people on the ground. But it can also refer to things coming from the sky and falling, like a meteorite, asteroids, falling stars or shooting stars, things coming across our trajectory, so asteroids across space, new information pertaining to space, things such as satellites perhaps being launched or coming back to Earth unexpectedly, also missiles. Now the fact again that we're reversed, does that mean that they don't get off the ground? So anything wanting to be launched perhaps has a stall, or comes back or falls down to the ground, or isn't launched for some reason. So is it stuck in the ground? Does that mean we find something in the ground, in the soil, like a new meteorite or meteorites that land that we find? Or even are we talking about the soil of another planet like Mars, which has been in the news lately? I'm still thinking that things come down from the sky and fall down, and like whether it's missiles, whether it's military action, whether it's space related, but it feels along those lines. It feels like we are lacking the skills when it's reversed, right? So something that we would be doing normally, we're lacking the skills to do it. Maybe this message that we would normally have received, it's a message that is taken the wrong way. It's a message that we misunderstand or we retaliate against when we perhaps shouldn't be. We come to the peace. Traditionally this means lack of peace, which goes really well with the skills card and probably the prison card. It also means energy from the sun, and it also means the Mandela type issues. So the peace card at the end of the reading is really reiterating a lot of the energies from the Psi card, and even possibly these energies because they're reversed. These over here, if they were upright, would be very positive and very peaceful, but because they've been reversed, there's action that's happening. It's just that it's unexpected action that's taking place. It's it's causing ructions and it's causing tension, but it still doesn't necessarily have a bad outcome. It will change the outcome that would have been. It will change the direction, but it's not going to be a total collapse. We come to the voyage, and look what's underneath it. Destruction. So the voyage card again is about movement, water, oceans, boats. This is also a reflection of the sun in my mind's eye, so more rays from the sun. The sun solar cycle is changing. We are moving into a new solar cycle for the next 10-year period, I think. And this can often refer to areas up in the Middle East of the globe, because it just looks to me like the Middle East areas. So up through there might be a part of the globe that is affected, whether it's through fighting, climate, or earthquake related. So tsunamis are a possibility. Boats are definitely on the agenda, ships one way or another. So yeah, there we have it, guys. There's a lot going on. You can see by the number of cards that arrived, the way they were delivered, the reversals of them, which just create that whole conundrum of things not flowing as expected, putting a bit of turbulence out there, changing the direction. But this lot definitely right themselves back as the journey or the month continues, probably more than just the month. It might take us into November and into December, the end of 2019. So yeah, there we are. Please add your comments and your thoughts as well. If anyone else can pick up any messages from these ones as to what else they could mean in reference to other countries or situations, that would be really cool. You could think this could also be Canada have their elections in October. I'm wondering if there's something in here. It's interesting, you know, with the victory card upside down, even though traditionally the meaning is not that bad, I wonder if it's not a victory for Trudeau. But if we're thinking of this as Trudeau again, it might be. He might actually survive the discussions that have been going on around him. Yeah, that'll be interesting to see. So yep, please leave your comments and ideas as well. Take care.